People who work at or frequently visit Disney. What do you know that would ruin the magic? I have been stranded on a stopped rocket inside Space Mountain at Disneyland. It took about 15 minutes to get the ride moving again. Anyway, we ended up riding it with the lights on, and it's a surprisingly slow, tame roller coaster. There are fans blowing air in your face to give it the illusion of speed. It goes without saying that Disney is great at keeping sightlines in mind. A majority of buildings and ride queues are just facades. One that comes to mind is the Haunted Mansion in WDW. The building that looks like the ride has nothing in it and is about 1/16 of the actual size of the ride building itself. You can see it very well on Google/Apple Maps. Same goes for It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, American Adventure in Epcot, etc. Source: worked at Magic Kingdom in WDW. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I don't know whether this will ruin anything, it's just a fun fact. Walt Disney was a chain smoker and constantly had a cigarette in his hand. Consequently, a majority of the photographs taken of him show him holding a cigarette. In today's modern society, it is no longer socially appropriate to be a chain smoker, so the Disney company has airbrushed the cigarettes out of all the old photos of Walt that they use for publicity. This leaves Walt holding his hand in a very strange position, with two fingers extended, where there used to be a cigarette between them. The Disney company's official explanation for this is that Walt had a very unique hand gesture, that every time he pointed, he did so with two fingers. In order to perpetrate this lie on the public, all Disney employees, in the parks, the hotels, the Disney stores in malls, everywhere, are required to point with two fingers, and are told, this is the Disney way. And the whole reason is to make the public comfortable with seeing that gesture, so that Walt doesn't look weird in all those old pictures, where the cigarettes have been erased. Try it. The next time you're around a Disney employee, ask for directions, or ask where something is. I guarantee you, they will point with two fingers. I don't think this ruins anything, but it always makes me laugh. The night show at Hollywood Studios is called Fantasmic, and it ends with a bunch of characters going by on Steamboat Willie. Then they all go inside, and fireworks/sparks stream down the side of the boat. Well, Ariel has a tail and can't walk, so she has to stay outside on her pedestal at the back of the boat. So Prince Eric wraps a fireproof blanket around her before going in. It's dark on that part of the boat when it happens, but if you watch for it, you can definitely see it. Lots of visitors will try to spread the ashes of loved ones on theme park rides. Walt Disney World has two abandoned parks. One, River Country, was a water park. Before it closed, an 11-year-old visitor died after coming into contact with brain-eating amoeba at the park. Costumed characters are not allowed to take off their costume in public. The average temperature high in Orlando in summer is around 91. In 2004, a cast member dressed up as Pluto was killed after a parade float ran over him. I'm a cast member at Disneyland, California. The one thing that ruins the magic is all the people who complain to get free things. I work at guest relations, and all the time people complain about trivial things to try and get fast passes or other free things. When you stay at a resort, Disney opens a file for you. They know where you eat, what rides you've been on, and how many times you've complained to a manager or guest services. That's why I think it hilarious when people online tell others online that they can get things for free if they complain. Sure, you might get something at first, but Big Brother Disney is keeping tabs on you. Whenever we have difficult guests, the first thing my manager does is pull up their file, and if you've been complaining and getting free things at every restaurant, ride, and hotel you've been to, chances are your luck is about to run out. And it doesn't go away after you leave. It stays there till the next time you come back. Think of it as your Disney permanent record. Also, the Disney Secret Security. They look just like a regular tourist, but their job is to walk around and watch for people doing things they are not supposed to be doing. My girlfriend is an avid Disney fan and goes all the time. Her favorite thing to point out is how often they reuse old animatronics. For example, in Disneyland, California, there used to be an old attraction called America Sings, where animals would sing to an audience. When the ride closed, some of the geese in the attraction were stripped and used in the queue for Star Tours as droids. A lot of others ended up going to Splash Mountain. Rumor has it, they use the old Bugala animatronic from the Country Bears for Oogie Boogie in the holiday overlay of the Haunted Mansion. They also reuse molds of animatronics, so there are many in Spaceship Earth, Carousel of Progress, and Haunted Mansion in Orlando who share faces with the president in the Hall of Presidents. I saw some YouTube video of a Disney princess that worked at the park. She had literal stalkers that would show up constantly and talk to her. They would even get angry at the replacement if the person the stalker was stalking had to have their normal shift off. Disney wouldn't do anything until the stalker did something physical or lewd. A 40-year-old man coming to visit a specific 20-year-old girl that had to interact with the man with a smile day after day wasn't creepy enough for Disney. My dad used to date this absolutely gorgeous little Armenian woman. She could have been a model, but she was in the Mickey/Minnie Mouse costume. They need someone small for that costume. So next time you're taking a picture next to Mickey, just know that the person inside could be anyone from a Danny DeVito lookalike to a supermodel-esque woman. Her ex-husband was actually just as small, and he played Mickey and Minnie too. In Magic Kingdom at WDW, there is a vacuum system that literally sucks away trash to a central location backstage behind Frontierland. The floors of that central location have to be specially treated because so many people pour their sodas in the trash. If it wasn't, the acidity of the soda would literally eat away at the concrete floor. The vacuum system also makes the underground tunnels smell. Disney's Tower of Terror in California, IIC, has its specific height because if it were 1 foot higher it'd need a bright red beacon to warn aircraft. The water on the safari cruise isn't even waist deep, it's dyed to seem deeper. Magic Kingdom in California is on the first floor. The ground floor is an elaborate network of tunnels, so you don't see too many maintenance crews or characters in the wrong area. I've only been to Disneyland once, when I was little enough for it to be magical, but not so little that I can't ride some of the rides. But the thing that stood out the most for me was seeing stormtroopers going into a break room. I really wanted to get a picture with one, and thankfully the guy at the end was nice. But seeing them go into a break room was weird. I realized that they were people too. Daughter-in-law worked at WDW. Some days her only job was to organize the strollers outside of a theater. As one group left a show and took this, she'd push the next set of strollers forward. Otherwise you'd have the 3 road and 4th show guest strollers blocking the paths. She was constantly being yelled for having moved them. One lady said her purse was in the stroller with their passports and airline tickets. Once they found a sleeping toddler. I visit Disney every year. Something that ruined the magic when I found out was that people dump cremated ashes in the park. For example, Haunted Mansion, Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Splash Mountain. Apparently, it's a hotspot for fans wanting their cremated ashes spread there after death, and some people literally just want to spend eternity at Walt Disney. In fact, one time when my family and I were in line for Splash Mountain, they had to shut down the ride and call the code. I believe the code name is HEPA, so staff members can vacuum it. People who do this usually get escorted out of Disney. So if you dump ashes in Disney, it'll probably get cleaned up and you'll be asked to leave. Oh right, this also happens in Disneyland. I rode on Space Mountain when they had all the lights on. It makes the whole thing really sketchy. The whole coaster area of the building was lit up with LED/fluorescent bulbs or something, and you could see everything. Stuff is a lot closer to your head than you think it is, and they use the dark to hide a lot of the inner workings instead of spending money on making it all match the theme of the ride. Overall, a really weird experience. The Disney family has undergone a lot of drama. Roy Disney, Walt's nephew, dethroned Disney Ciaran Miller, who was married to Walt's daughter and Roy's cousin, Diane Disney, in 1984, and installed Michael Eisner as seer to rescue a failing company. Roy becomes vice chairman. Eisner turns Disney into the gigantic corporate behemoth it is today, but ends up being a maniacal tyrant. Eisner and Roy clash. Eisner moves to oust Roy, but he resigns first and launches a guerrilla campaign to overthrow Eisner in 2003. Eisner eventually resigns in 2005. Walt Disney's other daughter Sharon Disney died of cancer in the early 1990s. Before her death, She created a trust for her 3 minor children worth hundreds of millions of dollars. What follows is a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. Not Disney, Universal, but it applies to Disney as well. A lot of sets are just a shell. Seems pretty obvious, but a guest seemed really upset when I answered his question about the Harry Potter train just going through our back of house. There's nothing interesting on the other side, just offices and wardrobe. Oh, just remembered another one. If you forget your name tag, you wear a spare from the manga's office. Most of the spares say Chris from Orlando, because that's a unisex name. But a lot of cast members keep the spare and wear it when they are not feeling magical, so they can't get complaints. I did actually know one Chris from Orlando who was a cast member, and it sucked for him because he never got any cast compliments. Guest relations always figured it was a fake name. A lot of people go to Epcot for the Drink Around the World challenge. Basically they drink the national cocktail of every country pavilion, and almost everyone who take up this challenge end wasted and throwing up in the restroom at the time the night show starts. So yeah, if your kid has an urge at night in Epcot, go behind a tree. It's safer and probably cleaner than whatever is left of the restroom at that hour. I used to work at both Disneyland and World. I think the worst part is how toxic the mentality they require is. I knew several people who had trouble separating themselves from the "I have to make everyone happy" constantly mindset when they left work. One of them even was hospitalized after a suicide attempt that he said was because he felt like his life was fake when he left work and that it made him a total pushover. Disney definitely doesn't want you to feel this way, but there is something about the people they hire who have constant over-the-top personalities that becomes too much. As a side effect of it, I felt sometimes like I was going to get in trouble if I didn't constantly smile or feel 100%, even outside work. It definitely isn't a place that embraces reality, but for what they do there, that only makes sense. People don't want to pay thousands of dollars to go on vacation and see people feeling shitty. I don't know if this counts, but this was a while ago, so it may not be accurate, and I don't visit it regularly, but here goes. I was having dinner in the castle with the princesses because of my sister and our table was by a wall. I accidentally hit the wall, and it looked like one of those big ones about 30 centimeters across, 1 foot, and it looked like plastic, and felt like it, and that was the same type of brick as the outside ones. So from that, it seems that the castle is not made of traditional castle stuff. Apparently all the skeletons in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride were once real human skeletons, because Disney himself wanted them to look more realistic. But now we are better at making realistic stuff like that, so they took out all the real ones and replaced them with fake ones. Apparently there's a skull in there that's still real though. If anyone wants to do more research on where that is in the ride or has pictures of it, that would be cool. A friend of mine just got married and his wife wanted to give up her career at a law firm to go work at Disney. Sounded like she was going to get this big important position, but it was entry level. So she got there, they have public housing, and get paid minimum wage, and she was forced to do menial park labor. She came back pretty fast,